Hello, everybody. Welcome to reInvent 2017.
Woo!
We're here at
I
last.
am really excited. It's been a huge, huge effort on behalf of a huge number of people to get here to 2017 reInvent, and I'm really excited about all the things that we're doing this year. My name is Randall Hunt. I'm a technical evangelist at AWS, and I spend a lot of time just hanging out on Twitch, writing some code.
I'm Abby. I'm also a technical evangelist. I spend a lot of time talking about containers, I guess.
Hey, I'm Ian. I'm also a technical evangelist. I'm from the UK, as you can tell. I spend a lot of time traveling around Europe talking about AWS with customers.
So obviously, not everyone can be here at reInvent. And not everybody can be in all the right places at all the right times. So one of the things that we're trying to accomplish with the Twitch channel this year is making you a part of the action constantly. Today, we're at the Hackathon venue. So we have a nonprofit hackathon that's going on behind us. There's a lot of other really, really exciting stuff that's happening. We have, if you're not able to watch the Twitch stream, if you're not able to attend in person, we have this kind of, I'm not going to say the word, but an echo skill. How does this work?
So I'm joined by a very special guest star today. It's an echo. There's a couple of different scales that you can use to speak with she who shall not be named right now about different launches. So something that you could ask is, ask AWS what's launched recently, or tell me about recent announcements. So if you have an echo at home, even if you're not with us on the actual reInvent floor, you can keep up with all the great launches and announcements that are coming. I can't say her name or she'll hear us, but Alexa, ask AWS what's new.
Okay, I'll play you the latest news. November 27th, 2017. Introducing AWS Elemental Media Tailor.
Alexa, stop. You can hear the whole announcement if you do it at home. It's actually pretty long.
Yeah, we don't want
Alexa,
Alexa.
stop.
We don't want this device doing our job for us, so we're not going to let her steal our thunder. We're going to tell you about all that stuff later on in this segment.
So I know that there's a mute button, but I actually really want like echo earmuffs so that I can just be like, I don't want you to listen to me.
So as you just heard from Alexa, we did launch a few things last night at Midnight Madness. Andy Jassy came on stage. We heard from IOPipe,
There was a marching band.
There was a marching band. Shaq played. I was in my hotel room doing work, but I was watching from Periscope on Twitter. What I'll say is the two things that we launched were Sumerian, and I'm particularly excited about this product. It's essentially an AR and VR pipeline for building WebGL scenes and other kind of complex and interesting interactions with virtual hosts that are powered by Poly or Lambda functions, and you can interact with the existing AWS infrastructure. I'll talk more about that later. But we also launched Elemental. And have you guys worked with Elemental at all yet?
Not a ton. I've been trying to catch up on all the announcements, on all the pieces of Elemental from yesterday.
It's hard to keep up. Essentially, Elemental is a suite of media services. It's kind of, if I were to describe it, I would say it's the ability to run your own production quality media service with no effort. So it takes care of your streaming. If you need to do commercials and stuff like that, there's media tailor. There are a bunch of different components, and I'm not a super savvy media person, so I'm not going to go and dive deep on what each of these components do. But if you read Jeff Barr's blog post, it kind of gives you a brief overview of each service, and then the documentation, of course, is also pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, we're going to have the team from AWS Elemental on Twitch at 16:20 on Wednesday as well. So we'll have a 40-minute segment with some of the.
And for those of you who are not European, 16:20 is 4:20
p.m. Yeah, for the non-Europeans. So we'll talk a little bit more in this segment about what we're going to have coming up later in the week. But one of the things we are going to be featuring is these deep dive interviews with AWS service teams, so general managers and engineering leaders from the teams that create our services. And we're going to be featuring Elemental on Wednesday. So should go back in for that.
And that means that in general, if you have a question about a service launch, or if you have a burning question that you want to ask the team about, you have the opportunity, because we'll be doing a bunch of these interviews the whole week. So if you want to ask a service team about what they just launched, send it to us on Twitch chat or Twitter, and we'll pass the message along.
So one of the really cool things about Twitch that Abby has kind of touched on here is this ability to interact with the people that we are interviewing. So I see this as an opportunity to get to know the people that build AWS every day, the product managers, the engineers, everyone who works really hard to put this event together and to bring you these awesome services and launches. I'm not sure if you always get that opportunity to talk directly to these people, so be sure to figure out when you're going to have time to watch the stream, and be sure to ask questions. And even if you have questions about a service that we've launched, we'll be doing recap events at the end of every day. And we'll be able to kind of answer some of those questions then if you weren't able to join while that product manager was on stage. So what's kind of happened at reInvent so far this year? We've been here since Sunday. Some of us have been here a little bit longer than that. But I guess there have already been quite a number of activities, right?
I think the big one for me so far is Robocar Rally. There's too many R's in that. That's been really cool, and some of the footage coming out of that is just incredible. Like the people build them at home, or they build them at the rally, and then they're just racing them around the tracks in there.
Sunil Maya is running that, and
yeah.
he's just been posting on Twitter all of these videos of these little cars going around the track, and then eventually, sometimes the algorithm that's driving the car, the deep learning algorithm that's driving the car, is good enough to make the turn and tell it to turn, but sometimes it's going too quickly,
awesome.
and so it just goes flying off to the side. It's kind of fun.
When you introduce other cars into the
yeah,
environment, things get a little bit more amusing.
It's like robo bumper cars.
Yeah,
or like
funny.
Robo Formula One or something.
There was also a Harley ride or something.
Yeah.
Was that yesterday or?
I think it was yesterday. Yeah. I wish I could drive a motorcycle. I'm not sure that's a good idea, but I wish I could. But that would be great.
I don't know much about that, but I saw some stuff on Twitter and it looked like it was fun. It's just they kind of, I guess they go all the way to mountains.
They go out to Red Rock Canyon. It's
Oh
like
man,
a full
that's
day,
awesome.
full day ride, I guess, there and back. It's quite away from Las Vegas.
So what we're doing here today is we're actually at the nonprofit hackathon, and right after this segment, we're going to have a conversation with some of the hackathon participants as well as some of the nonprofits that are sponsoring this hackathon, and hopefully you guys will be interested to come to this event next year. It's pretty inspiring. I've participated in it as a customer a couple of years. I've also worked on it as an employee for a few years, and I just really enjoy being able to take some time and some effort to devote to building stuff that has a positive impact on the world. Because as software engineers, we spend a lot of time, sitting around and coding. Most of my interactions with my family are done through Lambda functions or with Twitter. But when you have the opportunity to do something profound that helps a lot of other people, it gives you a good feeling. And seeing what our customers build every year, it's just always made me a little.
It's great. Yeah, it's actually
emotional.
one of my first experiences of reInvent was working on that 4 years ago now, and it was awesome. Remember the guys from JPL with the
NASA, yeah.
The Oculus, I think.
I do remember that.
Stereoscopic map of Mars that you could walk around. They only built that in 24 hours. It was
all of that was built
mind-blowing.
in. It wasn't even a full 24 hours. It was like 18 hours or something.
Yeah.
It was amazing stuff.
It's really nice seeing people use some of the software engineering community has a lot of really awesome skills that usually you're using to build features and stuff, which is also awesome, but it's really nice seeing people kind of use them to give back to some of the nonprofits.
Yeah, agree.
So there are a couple other things that I want to tell you about reInvent. If you're in the Twitch chat, I would really appreciate it if you would go and say, hey, I'm here at reInvent, or hey, I'm watching from here. I'd be interested to know where exactly everybody's streaming this from. If you're sitting on one of the buses between venues, in between sessions, this is a great time to kind of catch up on what's happening if you're not able to see everything all at once. So let me know where you're watching from. And I know some of my friends are watching from over here, so you guys don't have to say that.
And you'll be able to watch us in the expo hall starting tomorrow. So you can go up and around the
Yeah,
booth
we should say this little studio we're in here is only a temporary studio. Tomorrow we unlock our real studio where we have seating and lighting. It's going to be awesome. Behind us, you're going to be able to see the huge expo with all the partners in there. It's going to be great.
Guys,
that's still being constructed right now. So,
are you seeing this? We've got Herndon, Virginia, which is I guess you're in a data center. We have Seattle. We have Paris, Minnesota, Palo Alto, Pittsburgh, Richmond, Dallas, Istanbul, Turkey, Ukraine, Atlanta, Sacramento, Tampa Bay, Switzerland. NorCal, Boston, Texas, Munich, New Zealand. Oh my,
So
this is awesome.
I see
Russia?
I see a couple people asking if we're streaming the keynotes. Yes, we are streaming both the Wednesday and the Thursday keynote. So the Andy Jassy keynote and the Werner Vogel's keynote will both be streamed.
That's reinvent.awsevents.com for registration for that if you want to pre-register for it.
To clarify, we won't be streaming those on Twitch, but
Yeah.
they
Correct.
will be live
They'll be
streamed
through
and you
the
can watch.
main AWS
But
one.
we will be on Twitch straight afterwards with expert analysis
Yes.
Expert analysis.
from us.
It's the new Sports Center. It's even better because there's keynote announcements.
Because we're experts, apparently. So what else is kind of happening today and over the next few days that you guys are excited about? Like, what
So
are you
we've
looking
got
to do?
the developer community track upstairs here in the
That's
Venetian.
today, right?
Yeah, that's taking place right now. So that is a collection of sessions and talks from active members of the AWS community around the world. So we've got something called the AWS Community Heroes Program, which is our most active, highest profile community members talking about technical topics related to AWS that they're really enthusiastic and passionate about. So we've got quite a few community members from around the world that are taking part in that. And first thing today, we had a user group leadership panel there as well with some of the people that run AWS user groups around the world, discussing what AWS customers get out of participating in user groups. I was up there for that session. It was actually really good as well. So one of my favorite parts of the program. It's a little bit off to the side, but it's really interesting.
One of my favorite things about the user group setup in the UK is you guys have this beautiful map that has all, I think it's like an SVG on a web page, and it just has all of the different meetups.
Pins, yeah, and you can click through that to find out about each meetup. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, what have you ever been at an AWS user group meetup as a user of AWS rather than as a customer? Or sorry, rather than as an employee?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so both Abby and I I think I got my start with AWS. You know, I was working in this company, and I remember we were using AWS, and I knew very little about it. Essentially, I thought it was like a glorified VPS, a virtual private server. So I just spin up this EC2 instance, and then I have my VPS, and I'm good to go. I didn't realize the wealth of other services that came with it. So I go to this AWS meetup in New York City that I think this guy, Dom Morell, was hosting, and he works on the Alexa team now. Mm-hmm. And I saw a presentation from some solutions architect from AWS, and I was just completely blown away at how much stuff there was. And that was 5 years ago. And I'm still blown away now at how much stuff there is.
There's a lot more stuff now.
And I think maybe by the end of this week, there'll be even more stuff.
Yep.
So I went to meetups as a customer, but I never went to reInvent as a customer. So my first time was as an employee, and I remember sitting in my office from the previous companies, reading like all the tweets and like watching the live streams of the keynotes, and I was never there. So I wish we had the Twitch thing had been happening when I was a customer, because it makes it a lot easier to digest a lot of the information coming out, because you can ask questions with real people, like you kind of get someone, not like an inside person's take on it. It makes it a lot easier.
So if you have the opportunity, wherever you're locally at, I would say try and see if there's an AWS user group. And if there's not one, consider starting one. Because believe it or not, even in some of the most remote regions of the world, people are using AWS to try and build stuff and do things. And it's always easier to learn from people who have already solved the problem that you're trying to solve. Maybe it's not the exact same, but you can take some of that and apply it. And I found the best way to kind of pick up new skills quickly is to just find somebody who's good at it. And one of the best places to find those people is at the user groups. So, and also, all of us are happy to come to any user group. So you're more than welcome to tweet at me or just shoot me a message. My email is super public. It's just, except spelled correctly.
Randall is self-promoting a misspelled email address on Twitch chat right now. Join us live.
So, I mean, you can email me, and we're always happy to kind of present at a user group or to find a customer in your area who's willing to present at a user group. So the dev days are happening upstairs.
Yep.
Certifications are happening already.
Oh, the exams?
I think so, yeah.
Do you have any certifications?
I only ever worked for poor startups, so I have not gone for a certification.
Ian, do you have any?
But I should now.
I have a solutions architect professional cert, yeah.
Okay.
I let my others lapse, but I hold that one in high esteem because it was hard to get.
At Amazon, we have this internal tool where you can, it's like a corporate directory, and on this tool, you get these little badges. And one of the badges is if you get all 7 of the certifications. It's like an RPG, basically. And being a completionist, I decided to get all 7 certifications, and I was just like, the only reason I did that was for that little
Achievement
badge.
unlocked.
But the certification lounge is pretty cool. You get this pretty awesome shirt. So if you're at the event itself and you are AWS certified, I'd suggest going downstairs, picking up that shirt.
There's a lounge too.
There's a lounge.
Yeah, that's in the basement, right, of the Venetian, so down one level from where we are.
Yeah, and like
down
a
one
quieter place to work. So
Yeah.
it's ReInvent gets really busy. So if you're looking for somewhere to work and you're certified, they have their own little lounge, which I'm not invited to. So
Maybe next year.
And it looks like in just a little bit, we're going to be restarting the stream briefly to fix some of the FPS issues that you guys are having. So I'm sorry if you guys are having that. We'll have a recording later, and we can post it there. But
Also, we'll be here all week, so there's so much time to ask those questions. So we'll fix our FPS problems, and then we'll be back.
I will say, definitely, if you see any of us in person, you're more than welcome to come up and talk to us.
We have stickers also.
We have lots of swag. So if you're
Yeah.
wandering around the event, you see anybody on our team, definitely come check us out. So what else is happening? We got the Dev Days, we got the RoboCar Rally, we have the Harley Ride, this nonprofit hackathon. What else are we doing today and for the rest of this week?
So this year we have industry days. These are like mini conferences targeted on particular verticals, and there's a huge variety of different ones. I was checking out some Twitter coverage earlier on today from a gaming industry day that we're running, which is mostly focused on architecture for video gaming use cases, which I'm obviously pretty interested in. But there's also a lot of other industry days that are taking place today in automotive, manufacturing, telecoms, financial services. So they're mostly intended for enterprise customers.
And we just announced a few days ago a new automated or autonomous vehicle connected
A reference
cloud.
architecture for connected vehicles. Yeah.
I'm really big on self-driving, and I think that's going to be a cool thing. But I've been told not to get too excited about that, so I'm just going to move on. I like the gaming vertical. I like the media and enterprise vertical, especially with what AWS Elemental has enabled. All of those new services. I feel like the media vertical has drastically expanded.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Elemental that I'm not sure everybody fully groks yet is that it takes stuff that was previously only available to fairly large companies, fairly wealthy enterprises, and it brings it to anyone in their dorm room or their garage. You can run a production quality channel or series of channels with the same level of stuff that you would expect at like CNN or NBC. It's just really impressive stuff. And then, do we have some interviews with some of the AWS community heroes today?
Yeah, later on the stream today, we're going to have some of our community heroes that I mentioned earlier popping up for interview with Mackenzie, one of our team members here who focuses mostly on the startup market, but he's going to be chatting to a few of our community heroes from around the world. Then we're going to have a segment focusing on CloudFormation, which is a tool for creating group collections of AWS resources in the form of templates. It's really, really popular with customers, particularly more advanced customers. They tend to make very, very heavy use of CloudFormation. So we'll have a segment on that. And then the three of us will be back later talking about our favorite AWS launches of 2017. So we're going to
Just in time for all the new stuff.
take a look back through the archive of 868 services that we launched so far this year.
I was just going to read that archive verbatim, but that idea was rejected. So
I wanted to have Polly do it.
we could also have AWS Poly read, or Amazon Poly read all of those announcements. But there's a lot of stuff that's happened this year, especially just in the past week leading up to reInvent, and I cannot wait to talk about all of it. There's certain components of it, and I know we're getting into like another section here. It's just like some of the recognition and Lambda updates, the Lambda at Edge updates in particular, I just cannot wait to explore those, because it really takes Lambda at Edge to the next level.
Yep.
Like you can host full applications at a pop now. It's amazing.
Yep.
There are also some little kind of nuggets coming up announcement-wise all throughout reInvent, not just at the keynotes. So we have the Launchpad going on, but we've also had, so Matt Wood tweeted out the machine learning, the research initiative. So there's all kinds of little ones that are part of some smaller talks. So keep your eyes peeled for some of those as well.
And then, for the rest of this week, we have a bunch of different interviews and a bunch of other kind of exciting things that are going to be happening on the stream. We have another few minutes in this segment. I would love to show off Sumerian, but before I do that, is there anything else that you guys want to touch on?
No, we're good.
I'd also like to see Sumerian.
I'd like to see this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my screen here and hide all of the things that are secrets. I think I'm ready now.
For those of you commenting on some stream issues, we'll take a brief break after this to fix some of the FPS issues. So just stay tuned with us for a little bit for the next couple minutes, and then we'll take a little break to fix them.
Okay, so last night at Midnight Madness, we launched something called Sumerian. And Sumerian is a platform. It's a suite of services in and of itself. It is a platform that allows you to build really, really exciting virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. And the really cool thing about this is that they render in WebGL. So they'll render just in your web browser with relatively little effort. So let me just start something here. I'm actually going to start with a completely empty workspace, and I'm just going to call this Twitch stream. And I wonder if I could get an iframe of Twitch and embed it in the room. I could probably do that. If I went to the Twitch channel, got the iframe code, I could put that inside of the augmented reality. We could build a little theater. So what I've done is I've just launched this basic editor. And basic is not a good description of it, considering how full-featured it is. But what I want to do is I want to start adding in some assets. So this is just a tour. It's telling me how everything works. I've got a canvas. I've got a scene hierarchy. I have some assets. And then I have something to play the scene. So this is all good. Let's start doing it. What I want to do is I want to find this, this one scene. Entities. Where I just don't remember what it's called. It's called it's just like a little animated guy.
Clippy.
Clippy. No. Let me go to one of the existing scenes really fast. So let me just go to this. So we have two different kind of automated hosts that already exist. So this is Christine. I don't know where all the assets are, because normally when I search for it, it shows up, but they may have changed that. And my internet here is not the speediest. Sorry, let me pause my backup. Sorry, my internet's very slow. Let me try something else here. Come on. There we go. So it takes a little while to check all of this out, but what these virtual assistants do, what these virtual hosts do is they can interact and participate in inputs, and their output, if we have this language for Poly, which is a text-to-speech service called SSML, and you can put in marks in SSML that adjust the strength or the timbre or the speed and the cadence of what's happening with that virtual host. So what you can do is you can program things within that host. You can program animations where the host will say, in a very animated fashion, like, hello, welcome to AWS reInvent 2017. And you don't actually have to go in and put those animations in every time. You can actually say, hey, I'd much rather have this be automated. Sumerian doesn't seem to be running super quickly right now just because my internet is not great. Let me try opening one more scene.
I think we'll have a hard connection tomorrow, so we might save the demo action for tomorrow with better internet, because there's no reason everyone should suffer through our shared 2G conference Wi-Fi.
Yeah, what you can't see behind us through this wall is a hackathon with 200 people coding away on projects, which probably could be consuming a little bit of the spectrum in here, I think, and that's probably why the internet connectivity is not so great.
Yeah, so I think we'll just put a little pause in the demos, and then we'll be back with them. We'll be in the expo tomorrow with a nice connection.
Yeah,
so.
nice fast connection.
And we have like a full interview with the Sumerian team as well, and I think they'll be doing a demo.
Yes.
One of the other things that I want to touch on before we move on is like, Sumerian is not just for these virtual hosts or for these 3D scenes. You can actually invoke AWS Lambda functions or other kind of things from Sumerian pretty easily.
It's also for AR as well as VR, so what you're showing there is fully immersive, but you can also deploy onto iOS, Android devices or onto VR, AR headsets, and you can manipulate objects in AR and have that affect primitives back on AWS. So touch a virtual button in the virtual world and have a Lambda function executed back on AWS to do something in
What I want to call out on that too is that, so I think Adrian Cockcroft tweeted a little bit about it today and last night too, that it makes a lot of this stuff much more accessible for something that would have previously required a fair amount of specialized knowledge.
Yep.
You can now like drag and drop, you can import things from other services, so it's made something a lot more accessible that was not previously super easy. And he was like, I wish we had had this when I started at Netflix, because a lot of that stuff is actually really challenging.
Yep.
Well, is there anything else we want to touch on before we...
Just say that the Sumerian time slot for the team with Sumerian is at 2:20 p.m. tomorrow, or 14:20 if you're in Europe, but 2:20 p.m. if you're here in the US.
All right. Well, we've got another segment coming up in just about 5 minutes.
Yep.
I think we're going to close
Take a
this
short
down.
break.
Take a quick break.
Reset the stream to fix the FPS problems.
Yes.
The production team are putting their thumbs up at me, so I think that indicates things are going to get fixed in a second. We'll be right back.
All right. We'll be right back, guys.